Hey guys, Bushcraft 412. Quite a while ago, probably like 2 years ago at this point, I did a couple of videos on prepping, and I had some like basically just a paper list of things, and some of the people like that format, being able to see it on paper in different categories. And I wanted to try something new today, which is basically to do a kind of a prepper report card, a self-evaluation, so to say. And what I've done is come up with 25 categories, and we're giving them a score of 1 to 4, which basically allows you to go anywhere from a 25 to a 100 in points. And consider it this way: 1 would be you're completely unprepared, 2, average person, 3, above average, you got some good preps, and 4 would be, you're set, perfect, you do not need any improvement in that category. As you can see, I already started this and had a little bit of an issue, had to restart, so let's hopefully we'll make it through this one. First of all, food storage. I gave myself a 3. We definitely need improvement. I've only got about 3 or 4 months of food storage, maybe 5 tops if we really kind of ration things, but definitely need more. Moving into the new house, I finally have more room, but with all the projects, I just haven't had time to, get out and put some more food away. Water storage. Same thing. Coming from an apartment, we never had a lot of water storage. Now I have about 50 gallons in the house, and we have a rain barrel which holds 50 gallons, plus, any other random things that might be in the fridge, things like juice and soda and things like that. So I give myself a 3, being there's 2 of us. 100 gallons is about almost 2 months worth of water, so I give us a 3. We definitely need more. Food gathering skills. This is something I'm also going to give myself a 3. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of 3s on here. Lifetime experience with hunting. I've been hunting since I was a teenager, been fishing since I was a kid. I know a lot about the wild edibles nearby. I have a small garden in the back here, and definitely have the capability to do a bigger garden. I know there's a lot of like apple trees and things like that, and apple orchards, so I give myself a 3. I think I'm close to a 4 on this one though, because I really do have a lot of capabilities, but what I need is that bigger garden and possibly even some animals, like chickens or something like that to supplement, and I think I'll be at a 4. Water gathering. I give myself a 4. And you're going to be like, haha, why? Okay, guys, this is New York. We get like literally 50 plus inches of rain a year here. I can fill my rain barrel in like my rain barrel is pretty much full all the time here. I have a huge roof on my house, a huge barn with a roof. I can collect more water than I would ever need just from the roof. On top of, we have a well on the property. It's no longer in use. We have municipal water here, but there is still a well on the property, and it's like 20-something feet deep. So I have all that water, access to the groundwater, and plus there's a couple of streams, and there's a marsh actually right across the highway, probably within 400 yards of my home is a big marsh with a couple of creeks running through it. So I have access to pretty much unlimited water. And being it's New York, this is a very wet climate. I will never run dry. Public utility dependence. Ugh. I hate to do it. But I'm going to give myself a 2 on that one. Coming from an apartment, we've only been in the house here for 6-7 months. We had no need for a generator. We had no need for solar panels. We had no need for a lot of that stuff. So we are essentially 100% dependent on public utilities. We have, we got a barbecue grill, we got propane tanks and things like that, and propane heaters. So in a power outage, I could definitely take care of myself for like, a couple of days, but we definitely need some major improvement there. And I'm thinking the first purchase might be a generator, and then maybe go on to solar panels from there, but gonna have to save up. They're expensive. Number 6, fuel storage. I've got a couple propane tanks, both big and little, the barbecue kind and the little ones for some of my stoves and all that. Fuel storage, I got maybe a couple of 5-gallon gas cans. So I'm going to give myself a 3, and that's a weak 3 because a lot of people have I have more than your average person. Your average person just has like one, 2 gallon can for their lawnmower, and that's it. So I do have enough to get me quite a few hundred miles from my home. Home security. Oh. We're going to go with a 3 on that. I think it's we're a little better prepared. We do have really good doors on the front and back. I've upgraded the screws in the doors, so that they're bigger, longer screws that go into the wood better. We have good quality deadbolts, as I said. Both my front doors are steel. All my windows are in good condition and lock. We have motion lights all around the house. Good amount of home security. We have, we don't have the home security system, but at the same time, they're really worthless once the power goes out. So, but all in all, we do have good security, and we also do have a little bit of a panic room. One of our closets, it's a big walk-in closet. I put a big solid oak door on that sucker. I mean, just solid. I picked one up on Craigslist for free and put it in, and I have a heavy-duty deadbolt in there. So we do have a bit of a panic room when it comes to that. Self-defense. We're going to give ourselves... it's a high 3. It's close to a 4, though. We got in the neighborhood of 15 firearms here. We've got pepper spray, we got knives, we've got all kinds of crazy stuff, baseball bats, you name it. Self-defense, we got enough to hold down the fort, under any reasonable situation. So 3, but that's pretty close to a 4. There's not much else I could really get, aside from just maybe a few more guns and a few more things. But really, we're almost there with self-defense. Ammo storage, 9. We're gonna go with 3 again, I think I have 7 different calibers, and each gun I have probably between 500 to 1,000 rounds per firearm. I really want to get that higher. I really want it to be, in the neighborhood of 4,000 or 5,000 a piece. That's my next goal, of course, but I do consider that a 3 because, in totality, there's about 10,000 rounds here in the house, if not more. Off-grid experience. I'm going to give myself a 4. And you're going to say, holy cow, how can you give yourself a 4? What kind of jerk-off are you? You just said you have no off-grid stuff in your house. Well, grew up on a homestead. We lost power all the time. We had, many times we went without power for 7, 8, 9, 10 days. We grew up with a wood stove. We didn't have an electric furnace. We didn't have any of that stuff. We had a huge garden. We lived mostly on the garden and hunting. Plus, there's been many times where I've actually, my grandparents had a camp up in the Adirondacks, and the camp had no electricity and no running water, no nothing. It had an outhouse and all that. And there's quite a few times where I stayed entire summers with them up at that cabin. My grandmother, of course, was quite the homesteader and was very self-sufficient. Never bought almost nothing from the store except for milk and butter and things like that. They were very, I was very fortunate to grow up in a very crafty family. So I give myself a 4 with the off-grid because I spent many summers just with no electricity. Tons of experience backpacking for a week, 2 weeks at a time. I've really, spent a lot of time without electricity or running water, so I'm completely comfortable without it. Wilderness experience. I also give myself a 4. I literally, I think, spent my first night in the woods when I was 2 months old. My parents constantly took us camping. I was a Boy Scout. We were in the woods nonstop, not some RV park or anything like that. It was backpacking, tenting, carrying your own stuff. Everything was, and even now to this day, I go backpacking multiple times a year, sometimes for up to a week, even 2 weeks at a time. I'm always hunting every season, fishing every season, out hiking, walking, climbing mountains, you name it. I got 15 mountains I've climbed, so I have a lot of wilderness experience all over my entire state. Vehicle condition. Seems like an odd one, but if you have an old crummy beat up vehicle, it will affect your prepping. So I have a nice, pretty close to brand new car, so I'm going to give myself a 4 on that one. And my wife has an SUV, which is actually, I think what justifies the 4 is that we do have a nice 4-wheel drive SUV that we can load with tons of stuff, and it actually is a pretty tough car. Vehicle preps. Sorry about the kid in the background there. He's having a blast watching cartoons, so he's cooing and all that. Vehicle preps. Each of our car has a kit. We have air compressors, tire patch kits. We've got all kinds of little things to fix little stupid problems. We've got little survival kits, blankets. We have bottled water in our cars. I think we each have a couple days worth of food in the trunks. Quite a bit. So I give us a 3. We really could use a little more supplies in there, but unfortunately my wife does not like me loading up her car with all this stuff, so there's definitely some improvement with hers. Bug out plan, number 14. I give myself a 3. I've got a pretty good plan. I've got several locations and people who I can go with, who I've networked with. The only thing I really need for a better bug out plan is just to find more locations, maybe put supplies off site to have other places, but altogether I've got a good plan. I've got my maps already, routes planned out, areas where I can resupply along the way, all kinds of, I got a lot of stuff on paper in binders, because you don't want it electric, you want it on paper, ready to go with lots of plans on how we can get out if we ever have to go that way. That's the end of the first page. Let's go on to the second. We're going to try and whip through this because I got a feeling this kid here is going to start screaming in a minute. Available bug out supplies. We're going to give myself a 4. I have so much junk. And you see it from all the product reviews and all that. I have just tons and tons and tons of gear. I have so much, it's like to the point now where buying anything is, we're beyond triple redundancy. It's, I've got, I think like 8 or 9 backpacks. I've got 8 or 9 sleeping bags. I've got a whole bunch of tents. I've got all kinds of camping and supplies and fishing supplies. I've got like 15 fishing poles, by God. I've got just, you name it. I've got so much kind of camping gear and supplies and self-defense supplies. I think I'm very well set for bug out supplies. Alternate transportation. We're going to give us a 2. Which, unfortunately, we have the cars and I have a mountain bike, and that's it. And that does me no good to have one mountain bike when I have a wife and a kid here. So we need some improvement on the transportation. I'm really thinking about maybe like an ATV or something like that, or a mountain bike, or not a mountain bike, a dirt bike or something like that I can, something happens to the vehicles, we have an alternate means of transportation. So down the line, guys, so many things to buy and never enough money or time. Trade and bartering goods, going to give myself a 3. We have a pretty impressive wine collection, along with, we usually keep quite a few bottles of booze in the house as well. Just one of those things, when we buy them by the case. So we always have a couple left over. Not that we're heavy drinkers or anything like that, but it's great bartering material. So, plus I have, silver, I have things like that I can barter and trade with. So I think I'm doing pretty good there. Negotiating skills. Gonna slap myself on the back again and give me a 4. I actually I've done like 1 million jobs in my life, and for a period of about 2.5 years I actually sold homes. I sold homes, I sold cars, so I've been in sales a lot in my life, and plus I do a lot of negotiating when it comes to like going to garage sales and looking for new items. I'm always out there bartering and trading and doing things like that with people, so I've got a lot of experience and I'm very comfortable with it, and I think that will help me a lot in a shit hits the fan scenario. Medical supplies. We're going to go with a 3. Little nugget here. Mrs. Bushcraft 412 is a nurse, so we have a couple bins of medical supplies that have been, kind of misappropriated over the years. And so we do have quite a bit, couple bins, lots of, tons of stuff, medication, stuff like that. So we're pretty good. You can always use more. That's why I didn't give myself a 4. Health, I'm going to give myself a 3. And that I refer to your own personal health. If you're not healthy, it's really going to affect your prepping. So in my case, I'm actually very healthy. I don't take any medications or anything. Blood pressure is good. Cholesterol is good. I go to the doctor regularly and get checked out, get my blood drawn. I've never smoked. I've never been a heavy drinker. I've never really been into drugs. So my health is actually pretty good, and I get a lot of exercise. I'm always doing something. I'm not a person to sit around the house and watch TV. I'm constantly hiking, I will be out backpacking multiple times per summer, going on hikes multiple times per week. I climb mountains. I'm very active along with all the household chores and all that. So the only thing I don't give myself a 4 is I'm definitely could use more like real exercise, like jogging and things like that. And my diet is not the best, and I have some weight to lose, so I do give myself a 3. But even then, I think that's a low 3 because being overweight really can affect your health. But I think in my case, being as active as I am, and eating a lot of good healthy foods does help me out in a lot of ways. So it's a tough 3. You could probably say it 2, but why argue? Let's move on. Tools. I'm going to give myself a 4. I have literally tons and tons and tons of tools. So when I go to a garage sale, I buy tools. As you've seen some of these videos, I buy a lot of tools at garage sales. I buy them from thrift shops. I buy them anywhere I can get them. I've got so many hand tools, I don't even know what to do with them. I've got just things, bins of like wrenches and sockets and all that stuff. And I've got hammers. I think I got like 10 hammers. I've got all kinds of stuff for yard work, like 4 or 5 shovels and rakes and you name it. Just all these tools for the yard, which are really important because if the grid goes down and you have to make a huge victory garden, you want to make sure you have shovels and pickaxes and things like that to work the land. If you don't have them, you need to get them because these are something you're going to need. Rototillers aren't going to be around in a shit hits the fan scenario. So you got to have the tools to work the land, take care of your home, fix your vehicles and all that. And I have a ton of them. And I have a lot of electric tools too, and a lot of battery operated stuff as well. So I think I have a very good, well-rounded collection. With a generator, I could, build anything I need to do and pretty much do anything I need to do. Even with solar panels, I could, maintain my tools and have a very good way to take care of myself and my family, just do the amount I have. Support network. We're going to give us a 3 on that. Of course, we both have families, but both of our parents are getting older. They're getting older. They need more help than they need, are probably available for help. We've got friends and all that, but we don't have a lot of friends who are preppers. It's a very rare thing here in, upstate New York. There's not a ton of us, so we don't have the biggest network of people who are like-minded, so I think above average because I do have a lot of contacts I've made through YouTube and people, who are fellow hunters and all that I know who are my friends, because you tend to gravitate towards those people who do the same things as you. So I know a lot of people who hunt and fish and all that and have those wilderness skills. So I think I'm a little above average when it comes to that. Other resources available. That is kind of a blank slate for you guys to fill in those things that you may have that other people don't, unusual things like a windmill or anything like that someone may not have. For me, I'm going to give myself a 3, and I think a lot of it is my paper resources. I've been charting and mapping resources for years. When I go out and I hike, I map out. If I find an apple tree, I map it, put it on a map, and I map it. If I know where there is solar panels, like on those railroad crossings or something like that, if shit hits the fan, I know where to get those suckers. I map all kinds of resources. I map anything I see that could be of use to me. I put it on a map and I mark it. And I keep all that information. And I have binders of maps all over, not just near my home, but near my bug out locations, on the way to my bug out locations. I want to know where every junkyard is. I want to know where every, apple orchard is. I want to know where everything is, and I think that is my biggest resource available to me is I have all that knowledge, and I have it on paper, so it's not going to be destroyed if something happens to electronics. So, very good resource. Definitely need to improve. There's a lot more things I could, of course, buy and all that. Emergency supplies. We're going to give myself a 4 because literally I have, I think, an entire bin of candles. We have candles all over the house as decoration. I've got probably 30 flashlights. I've got lanterns. I've got, you name it, all kinds of emergency raincoats and blankets and space heaters and propane space heaters and electric space heaters and you name it. I mean, I've just got so much junk I've accumulated over the years that, you know, anything that you need for an emergency, I think I really have. We have tons of, I mean, literally, we have a big house here, guys, and we have a big barn, and we've got a lot of stuff and a lot of bins, just bins and bins and bins of stuff with stuff in it. And I think that's an area where I shine, is I am a person who has an entire bin of candles. I have an entire bin of medical supplies. I have, flashlights scattered all over my, every drawer you open in this house has a flashlight in it. So it's really kind of a bonus. We have just extras of everything. Tons of hand sanitizer, tons of soaps, and all that, just, you name it, just so much. And I really think we have actually more than we can handle. And to go up and stock bins and bins and bins of candles is really kind of almost defeating your purpose. How many candles do you really need? And then there comes a point, when what's more important when you run out of space, candles or food? I'd much rather have the storage for food. So I think with the amount of storage I have available, I've maxed out what I'm willing to appropriate for emergency supplies. And the last one is the Wildcard. On the Doomsday Prepper show, they always had that Wildcard at the end, and I kind of like that idea, where a chance where you could, interject your own little personal things. We all have personal things about us, and things we know, and things that have happened to us that make us a better prepper. And rate yourself on that. I'm going to give myself a 4 on this one. Woohoo! And here's why. As I mentioned in a couple of videos, I used to be a police dispatcher. And as a police dispatcher, one of the things I was in charge of was all the emergency manuals. I had to keep them updated, and eventually it came a point where I also got involved in training the new officers. They would come in and spend 2 days with me on all the emergency procedures. And so somehow over the time I got to be able to do all that, and I was involved in all that. But then it also became, because I was training people, that I also got involved on the meetings. Because if I'm going to be updating all these books, they wanted me involved when the administration, the chief and the deputy chief went to talk about these things. So I got a lot of experience working with FEMA and Homeland Security, even the Secret Service. I met with them a couple of times, when they were moving some radioactive materials through my jurisdiction. So I had a lot of experience, and my wild card is I know what the local emergency plans are. I know what these agencies are going to do. I know what their responses are. I know what the escape routes are. I know a lot of stuff about the inner workings as to what is going to happen should there be some kind of an emergency. And that will allow me, number one, to avoid congested areas. It will allow me to avoid government agencies I may want to avoid. It may also let me know where if something big were to happen, I know where the triage centers are going to be. I know where the emergency hospitals can be set up, where the hospitals will evacuate to. I know all kinds of crazy stuff like that about my local area. And that's a very important wild card, I think. So I'm giving myself a 4, because in a disaster, I'm the guy who trained the cops. I'm the guy who trained the cops what to do during that disaster. I told them where to go, where to be, and what their response was, and went over all this stuff with them. So I think that gives me an incredible edge on other people around me, that knowledge. So there we go. That's the total, and that's my little self-evaluation, as you can see. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And once again, guys, this is all just for, I don't know how many of you are still watching, probably a lot of people tuned out by now, but this is to find your weaknesses and to improve on them. And for me, I definitely see one of my biggest weaknesses is my dependence on public utilities. So that is something we are definitely going to work on here. And amongst other things that I found on this that I gave myself 2, there are definitely things that need to be worked on and need to be worked on immediately. So hope you enjoyed. And you guys, you don't have to follow this thing entirely. Just go put it down on paper. Look at what you have, what you don't have, what you need. And when you see it on paper, it will give you a whole new perspective on how you should be handling your preps. That's all, guys. Bushcraft 412. Hope you guys have enjoyed.